こんにちは。今日はレオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチについて一緒に見ていきたいと思います。レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチはですね、最後の晩餐とかモナリザで有名な画家になります。レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチ is undoubtedly one of the most famous people that have ever existed. There aren't many people you can say that about, but there are very good reasons for saying so. He painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, and he was one of the most important scientists of the Renaissance. He left us pages and pages of cards containing all his knowledge and studies. He covered music and architecture, weapons and flying machines, and many other things. A very impressive CV. はい、ということでですね、レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチはモナリザ、そして最後の晩餐を描いただけじゃなくてですね、科学者としての側面もありました。他にもですね、受胎告知なんかも書いてます。はい。でも、レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチの生涯なんですけど、Imagine a teenager born in 1452, curious and thirsty for knowledge, moving from a small country town to the dazzling metropolis, one of the liveliest cities in the world, where everything is possible. Art, music, science, and trade of all kinds. 15th century Florence. The fact that his father is a notary, and not just a notary, but one of the most important in the city, for Leonard, 1468, must be a truly incredible year. He is 16 years old when his father, Piero, moved the family from the village of Vinci to the Tuscan capital. Vinci is not an isolated village, and maybe it's not even that boring. But you have to think that in those days, the Lord of Florence is called Lorenzo the Magnificent. Get it? In the city, you can breathe the air of great historical moments and the most extraordinary feats are the order of the day. To give you an example, the legendary Dome of the Dome, the main cathedral in Florence, was completed by Filippo Brunelleschi just 30 years before. In fact, by 1468, the large golden sphere that still dominates the city today has not been installed yet. Angus, what happened? In this same year, Leonard's father decided to take some of his son's beautiful drawings to Andrea del Verrocchio, a painter, sculptor, and goldsmith, and the owner of the most famous artist workshop in all of Florence. Verrocchio immediately accepted the boy. He draws so wonderfully, and he is capable of capturing nature in great detail by combining the eye of a scientist with the hand of an artist. And guess what Leonardo sees being made in Verrocchio's workshop? Only the impressive golden sphere, which is more than 2 meters in diameter. It was raised above the dome in 1471. In the artist workshops, applicants do a little bit of everything. They clean stones and plants to create color, prepare wooden balls or canvas on which to paint, they sweep, and they arrange brushes and sculpting tools. But sometimes, masters let their best public paint some. He works in Milan first at the court of Ludovico il Moro, then for the French government. Milan, Vinci, Florence, Rome. He is born in 1452 in Vinci. He moved to Florence to Verrocchio's workshop. Closelus, France. He died in Closelus in 1519. Notary. Do you know what a notary is? It's a person who files important contracts and keeps them safe. If you sell a house, for example, you have to go to a notary's office because he alone had the authority to guarantee in front of witnesses that the house is really yours. He is born in 1452 in Vinci. He studied in Florence in Bellocchio's workshop, the sphere of the Duomo of Florence. Did you know that Bellocchio's golden sphere was struck by lightning in 1601 and fell to the ground? A stone at the rear of the Duomo still marked the spot where it was found after the storm. ということなんで、レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチは生まれたのがですね、ヴィンチ。そして、ヴィンチ村のレオナルドってことなんで、ヴィンチで生まれてですね、フローレンス、フィレンツェですね、フィレンツェに行って、ミラノに行って、ミラノからローマ、で、ローマからまたミラノに行って、フランスに行ったというふうな、そういうふうな生涯を生きておりますが、このミラノに行った時に有名な最後の晩餐書いてます。サンタマリア・デル・グラッツ修道院の食堂の壁画です。はい。で、characters in the painting they are currently working on. Secondly, characters, of course, it so happens, however, that one day a talented appreciate arrives in Bellocchio's workshop, so good, in fact, that his skills leave the master himself in awe in Bellocchio's beautiful baptism of Christ. In fact, Leonardo's contribution is so extraordinary that there is no mistaking it. The angel with long hair seen from behind and bluish landscape fading into the distance are his work. The gifted boy from Vinci could open his own workshop at this point, but decides instead to stay with Bellocchio for a long time. We don't know why, but it's certainly true that in Bellocchio's large and well-established business, Leonardo can study many artistic techniques: engraving, metal casting, sculpture, gold work. Leonardo doesn't leave Bellocchio's workshop until he is 30 years old, a lifetime for that leave, when he leaves Florence to go to Milan. In the 15th century, rulers used to exchange their best intellectuals and scientists of their courts. Artists, engineers, writers, cartographers, geologists, botanists. So you can imagine Luigi il Moro, the joy at receiving the artist from Vinci. With all of this and more, in fact, at the court of the Sforzas, Leonardo devotes himself to the most diverse studies: military fortification, bridges, weaving machinery, but also impressive decorated structures for the dukes of extravagant parties, complete with costumes, stage sets, water games, and amazing automators. Milan becomes Leonardo's second home. He stayed there for almost 20 years. Among the masterpieces from this period are the Virgin of the Rocks and the Last Supper, in which the characters in such expressive pose that the Milanese public are awestruck. During his years in Milan, among other projects, Leonardo tries to design a colossal Icorta momentum to celebrate Ludovico in Moro's father, Francesco Sforza. The project is so difficult and his studies go on for so long that the Cathedral of San Maria del Firenze, Duomo of Florence. In 1482, he goes to Milan to the court of Ludovico in Moro. Ludovico in Moro, the son of Florence Flota and Benedetto Maria Vistli. He may have been called in Moro the Moor as a child because he had dark hair, eyes, and complexion. A man of great culture and extravagant character, he ruled over the Duchy of Milan from 1480 to 1499. What mean? They are machines that imitate the movement of human or animals. Andrea. del Verrocchio and Leonardo, Baptism of Christ, Tempera and Oil on Canvas, circa 1471, Florence, 50。バプティスムっていうのは洗礼です。レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチもですね、キリストの洗礼というふうな絵を描いてまして、これ洗礼者ヨハネによって洗礼を受けるんですけど、その時にですね、これベロッキオの作品なんですけど、その洗礼を受けているキリストのですね、左隣に女性が2人描かれております。この、2人の少女のうちですね、右と左の、表現すると、左側の方の少女をレオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチが描いたというふうに言われております。で、この時にですね、このレオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチのその才能に驚いたベロッキオがですね、師匠のベロッキオがもうこのレオナルドの才能を見て絵を描くことをやめたというふうな伝説も残ってます。はい、この時ですね、レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチはですね、この、キリストの洗礼バプティスムとか書いてる時ですね、あと最後の晩餐書いてる時とか、フィレンツェにいて、フィレンツェのそのビフィチ美術館にですね、この最後の晩餐じゃない、キリストの洗礼は所蔵されております。すみません、最後の晩餐はミラノなんで、この時じゃないですね。最後の晩餐はミラノに行ってからの作品です。はい。で、He never finished the work, but he manages to create an astonishing model of the gigantic horse over 22 feet tall. However, this model is destroyed by Florence troops in 1499. In fact, the city is conquered in that same year by the army of the French. King Louis VII and Leonardo leaves Lombardy to return to Florence, stopping first in Mantua and then in Venice. In the meantime, he becomes increasingly dedicated to scientific studies such as the flight bars and futuristic flying machines. The Florentine government, honored by the return of its brilliant artist, asks Leonardo for large-scale work. He and Michelangelo, artists admired by the whole world, are asked to recreate two historical Florentine battles, painting frescoes on two different walls of the great hall of the Palazzo Vecchio. Neither of them will ever finish those works, but their designs remain in the battle, and Leonardo draws horses and horsemen tangled together, their faces distorted in the fury of battle. Leonardo's endless desire to find new solutions make him discard the fresco technique in favor of an experimental approach. Unfortunately, the result is disappointing because as soon as it is applied, the paint begins to run, and Leonardo abandons the work. Leonardo loves to experiment and study and keeps all his notes, plans and drawings in precious notebooks. Some of these have been passed down to us and form collections of papers that we now call the Leonardo da Vinci. In fact, his fame is not only linked to painting, but also to the extraordinary precision with which he managed to observe and reduce the natural world. His hands and eyes work together to capture reality and depict it in extraordinary drawings. He studies and draws everything: the motion of water, plants, a strange face, animals, and mechanical contraption. Leonardo returned to Milan in 1506 and then again in 1508 for only 4 years, driven out again by more political turmoil. Protected by Guillaume de Medici, brother of the Florence Pope Leo V, Leonardo takes refuge in Rome. But the artistic scene in the capital is really busy. Michelangelo had just put the finishing touches to the Sistine Chapel, while young Raphael is painting the walls of some of the rooms in the Pope's palaces. Leonardo, who is no longer young, remains on the sidelines, devoting himself to his beloved scientific studies rather than to paintings. At the age of 64, the boy from Vinci makes his last journey to Florence. King Francis invites him to his court and appoints him first painter, architect, and engineer, the highest position imaginable for an artist. He hosts him in the beautiful castle of Clos Louis. How could Leonardo refuse? He spent the last 3 years of his life in his beautiful village, admired and loved by all, studying and designing incredible machines and stage sets for parties, hydraulic engineering projects, and mechanical automations. Have I forgotten anything? Oh yes, a small picture painted on oil and poplar wood, which he keeps with him until his last day. The woman portrayed is smiling slightly, and it seems that no one in the world can resist her. Everyone calls her the Mona Lisa. The Soft Castle in Milan. ミラノにですね、結構街中中心部にですね、要塞があるんですけど、そこでもですね、レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチがですね、軍事武器ですね、武器とかの設計とかに携わったと言われております。で、1499 he flees Milan after the invasion of the city by the French. で、ミラノからですね、フランスにレオナルドが移動することになります。Plaza Vecchio, originally called Palazzo dei Plei, those who administrated the city, and later Palazzo della Serna, it is a place from which the city of Florence has always been governed from 1865 to 1871. It was also the seat of the Kingdom of Italy, when Florence was the capital. In 1516, he moves to France, the king's guest, at the castle of Cluny. He died in 1590. 1519年に亡くなりました。1519年というとですね、いわゆる、ミケランジェロがですね、システィーナ礼拝堂の天井画を描いたのがですね、1508から1512って言われています。で、正面の祭壇がですね、最後の審判の方なんですけど、ここがですね、1536年から1541年にミケランジェロ描いたと言われておりますので、この1519年亡くなった時はですね、まだシスティナ礼拝堂の正面の祭壇画をミケランジェロが描いてない頃というふうになります。はい。はいはい。で、そうですね。ミケランジェロの、作品といえば、やっぱりですね、マギの礼拝、東方三博士の礼拝。東方三博士の礼拝で何やってことなんですけど、これもですね、新約聖書のこの一節で、いろんな画家が書いてるんですけどね、いわゆるですね、イエス・キリストが誕生した時ですね、イエス・キリストが誕生した時にですね、そのイエス・キリストの誕生を祝ってですね、3人の博士がですね、そのイエス・キリストが誕生した馬小屋まで来たという、そういうふうなシーンです。それをいろんな画家が書いてて、レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチも書いてるというふうな状況です。はい、ということでですね、Adoration of the Magi、Adoration 礼拝ですね。A little blue for the sky and a few touches of green for the leaves. Nothing else. Well, yes, it's clear that Leonardo hasn't finished this painting. In fact, while he was working on it, he was invited to move to Milan. The painting remains incomplete, and the fly who requested it for the church in Florence was very disappointed. The piece, however, is extraordinary. The theme is familiar, the visit of the Magi to Mary and Jesus. The way of depicting it, however, is entirely new. The Madonna and Child are not near a hut or stable, but sitting on a rock at the foot of the large by tree. The scene is crowded with an unbelievable number of people and animals moving about in an agitated manner. The figures seem so intimately by Mary and the baby Jesus that they can't get any closer. In the background, Leonardo drew a temple under construction, which lent atmosphere of peace and industriousness, and on their right, a furious war scene, represented by knights facing each other fiercely. Peace and war confront each other, and you can almost hear the nearing in the distance. What is the story? In the Christian tradition, the Magi are three astronomers who see a comet while studying the sky. When they follow it, they find the newborn Jesus in a shelter near a road, perhaps a hut or a stable. The Gospel tells us that the Magi were among the first to recognize the importance of Jesus, and so they brought him gifts to honor him. (1481–1482) Tempera mixed with oil on panel, Florence Uffizi. Even the hosts seem to peek at Mary and Jesus with curiosity. Fun fact. There is an unexpected presence in this painting. How strange is that it really is an elephant, a very exotic hidden detail. これね、象が描かれたんですよ、この絵の中に。マジで象が描かれてるの。びっくりですよね。確かに象が描かれてます。なんでって感じやんな。なんで象が描かれたんやろ。ちょっとだいぶ謎ですけどね。なんで描かれたんでしょうね。どうも象が描かれております。はい。で、The ox and the donkey, who are usually the protagonists of the scene, were drawn by Leonardo in a distant secondary position. In the war scene, apart from the horses fighting each other, there are also dogs barking furiously. The colors of the painting. 象とかね、犬とかいろいろ動物も描かれております。ちょっと象はね、びっくりですね。なんで象がって感じですね。はい。で、やっぱりね、有名なのはですね、洗礼者ヨハネを描いているのとかもすごく有名ですね。はい、見ていきましょう。で、Angel Gabriel comes down to earth to announce to Mary her miraculous destiny. She will be the mother of the Son of God. It is one of the most depicted sacred scenes, but Leonardo renews it from top to bottom, making it look very natural. In the Annunciation, as in all of Leonardo's religion paintings, symbolic as well as natural elements are clouded together. Grab a magnifying glass and follow me. 結構まだまだ書いてて、最後の晩餐とかも見たかったんですけど、ちょっとね、結構多いんで、今日こんぐらいにしておきます。またね、気が向いたら読んでいきたいと思います。そのレオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチって結構ローマだけじゃなくてフランスとかミラノとかフィレンツェとか、各地で活躍しているんで、モナリザ、フランスのモナリザが一番有名なんですけど、この、フィラノとかね、フィレンツェとかでもですね、レオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチを作品鑑賞することができます。ということでですね、今回はレオナルド・ダ・ヴィンチについて一緒に見ていきました。